Welcome to the Global South Hub podcast. I'm Bethlehem Atfield, the Community Engagement Coordinator, contributing writer, and host of this series, which focuses on decolonizing access. The series shares inspiring stories from professionals closely connected to the Global South who are challenging exclusion and reshaping what access really means. Through powerful stories, the series exposes how knowledge systems continue to marginalize and how they can be transformed. In this episode, I invited Chimuanya Pearl Ngele, a visually impaired academic at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, to discuss accessibility and inclusion issues within Nigerian academia. Although policies such as discrimination against persons with disabilities, Prohibition Act 2018 exist, the infrastructure, learning resources, staff training in Nigerian universities remain insufficient, leaving most campuses inaccessible. Chimuanya Pearl had a joyful childhood without difficulty. She only experienced a loss of sight as a teenager, which led her to learn new ways to cope. In this episode, Chimuanya shares her inspiring journey of adapting to life with a visual impairment, going beyond expectations, earning top honors in her undergraduate studies, completing her master's degree and PhD, and becoming one of the youngest associate professors at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Her bold remarks in the TEDx talk, Excelling in Blindness, sparked various feedbacks and initiated further discussions. Chimuanya Pearl Ngele, welcome to the Global South Hub podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Pearl, you have a beautiful name. And what does Chimuanya mean?
It means my God doesn't sleep.
Oh, my God doesn't sleep. Beautiful. What was your childhood like? Could you share the events that led to your loss of sight and how you learned to cope and adapt?
Okay, my childhood, I could say, was fun. I lived in a community that really practiced communalism. The children worked together, the mothers worked together, and a lot of things were done traditionally. It was a campus because my parents were lecturers in the first indigenous university of Nigeria, that's UNN. So we lived in the school compound, but yet it was very interesting. And one of the things that made it interesting was that we had to do a lot of working. I really don't know why. Maybe because there were not enough cars, or it wasn't just the culture to drive around. We had to go a lot of places on foot.
Mhm.
That was a very interesting part. But then, towards the end of my secondary school, between the age of 16 and 17, that's when the issues surrounding my sight came up. I had a condition called raised intracranial pressure, which unfortunately was not detected on time. And the raise in the pressure was what damaged the optic nerves and led to the loss of sight.
Mhm.
But it took a final toll at the age of 19 when that's when I could say it came crashing. I couldn't walk with my eyes anymore.
Mm-hmm. Could you share with me the happiest and the most stressful moments you have experienced growing up? I'm curious whether these times were shaped by social expectations or inequalities.
Oh, happiest experience growing up, I know. The real happiest moment of my life was my wedding day, but that wasn't growing up. I had grown up. But
Yes.
yes, the happiest moment of my life growing up, I think it's when I graduated from the university because I
Mhm.
emerged the best graduating student. And talking about social inequality, it's in a community I grew up in, it's very rare to have women take that position
Mm.
and being the top of the class, despite having a disability. despite being a female, I saw that as something to be very proud of.
Absolutely.
Then,
Yeah.
most stressful. I've had a lot of stressful experiences. One of the marking ones when I had to travel to Togo for what we call the linguistic immersion. If you're learning a foreign language, you have to go to the country that speaks that language and spend some time.
Hmm.
So when I went to Lome for that, one of the reasons why it made it stressful, it still had to do with my vision.
Hmm.
I was in a country I didn't know, a town I didn't know. Yes, I wasn't alone. I was with a band of Nigerian students, but it still was stressful to try to navigate and know my way around. But with friends and colleagues, and of course, learning to use my brain, one of the things you learn with loss of sight is how to see with your hands and your brain. I began to note landmarks and know how to move around the campus of Ube. That's Village du Benin. That's the place I was.
Yes, that's really interesting. So, moving away from the places you're
Mm,
familiar with was the greatest challenge, and that's the
yes.
first time you ever traveled. Was it the first time you ever traveled outside of Nigeria?
Yes. No, no, no. Before then, when I had become ill, I had traveled to the UK for treatment. I spent some time in London. But that was, one could say that's the first time I was traveling on my own because I was just there for school. Going to the UK, I
Yes,
went with family and I also had to stay
I
with
see.
family there. But this was the first time I was exposed to face that challenge by myself.
I see. Can I ask you one more question about your studies? You said your graduation was one of the most memorable times in your life, but you had, I'm sure you had several graduations because how many degrees do you have?
Okay, I'm talking. Okay, the graduation I was speaking about was my first degree, the bachelor's degree. Yes, I
Yes.
have a master's degree, I have a PhD, and I've done some other certifications in
Mhm.
project management, customer engagement, even in insurance marketing, uh, interpreting. I have so many other certifications.
It's amazing, yes. And what made you decide to study languages? You are a francophone, aren't you? And your research is about the French language and translation and all of that.
Yeah.
What inspired you
Yes.
to study that?
Okay, I can describe myself as a francophone now, originally born in Nigeria, an English
Mhm.
speaking country. But while in the secondary school, in high school, I took
Mm.
interest in French. I first of all wanted to be an accountant, but I was struggling so much with mathematics. So I took interest in French and I found I was doing that quite easy with a lot of ease. And I listened to a talk just like what we're doing now, where the lady that was giving the talk gave an advice that I have never forgotten. He said, when you're taking a decision concerning your career, you should consider three things. You should consider what you're good at, you should consider what you enjoy, and also consider what can pay. So I just told myself, I'm good in French, I'm very good in, and I enjoy it. I couldn't answer if it could pay or not, but I said 2 out of 3 is a pass mark, so I went for French. That's how I did.
Interesting. Can you tell me a bit about your TEDx talk, Excelling in Blindness? What was the experience like, and what kind of feedback did you receive on your bold statements? And if I mention one of the bold statements you made was, I decided this problem will not overwhelm me. I will overwhelm the problem, is what you said.
I've gotten a lot of feedback about more than 50 comments. Most people just say it is inspiring, but a lot of people are moved by it's not about what comes to you, It's about your reaction to what comes to you.
Mhm.
And that is it's decision making. I think the greatest point I wanted to make in that speech is that the biggest injury is in the mind. The
Mhm.
injury of the mind is the biggest challenge to disability. The
Mm.
physical injury is secondary. And the feedback I have gotten is that people should think positively. A lot of people will say, after listening to your talk, I had a different mindset. Because you decide, just like I said, not to that the problem cannot overwhelm you, but you will overwhelm the problem. That means that you decided to take it on headlong. There are also some negative decisions we could take. We could stop going to school, we could stop working, we could even stop hoping or living. But we took another decision, and that decision was to continue despite the challenge. And that's why I'm here where I am today.
Excellent. So it's the mindset that will
Yes,
overwhelm the problem instead of the
yes,
problem overwhelming you.
yes.
All right. Um, Looking back at some of the challenges you faced while pursuing higher education,
Mm.
do you think those challenges still exist today, or have they, to a certain extent, been addressed by technological advances and policy changes?
Very little extent. They still exist. We have a lot of technology, assistive technology helping people with disability, but still some of it is not even accessible to them due to funds and training, which is still a product of funds.
Mm.
And also the mental perception of the public towards persons with disability, I don't think that has changed much. Yes, we have policies addressing them, but despite the policies, even in civilized countries, the discrimination still exists. And that's my own opinion. However, there are two solutions to it. Solution is to educate the public so that they know that persons with disability can still function. It's not the end of the road. And secondly, is to also educate the persons with disability not to throw in the towel, to always advocate for themselves.
That's very powerful. Um, has technology and specifically AI genuinely improved access for blind academics, or has it created new barriers?
A lot. No, no, no. I don't think it created new barriers. In my own view, it has solved a lot of problems. So many problems. We have NVDA JAWS and other apps, screen readers you can use to access the internet, get information if you want to do any form of research. We have apps for editing and writing. We even have apps that you can teach with. You can use them to build your PowerPoint slides and make presentations for your students. So I don't think it's a barrier. It has even increased the speed of work. What could be done in 1 month, you can complete it in 1 week. It's a big leap for especially visually impaired persons.
Right. How does accessibility shape whose knowledge gets produced and valued in academia?
First of all, accessibility helps people to be able to showcase their knowledge. In the university where I work, it's called equal opportunity. It gives everybody an opportunity because if there's no accessibility provided, a lot of people who are intelligent, a lot of people who have something to give, they wouldn't be able to showcase it. So, accessibility helps persons with disability, especially visual disability, to be able to produce knowledge, showcase the knowledge, and in turn get valued for their knowledge. I would use myself as an example. If not for so much of the equipment and the AI and all the tools that were provided, I wouldn't have been able to complete a PhD. And some of the things I'm able to accomplish today as a PhD holder, it wouldn't have been seen, not to talk of being valued. Mm-hmm. Secondly, now that I have accessibility tools at my disposal, as a postgraduate supervisor, I can scrutinize the work of my PG students and have it corrected and better shaped. So, accessibility has shaped my knowledge, but is now in turn shaping the knowledge of the people I'm mentoring under me, because they can also gain from my knowledge because of the tools and other AI that are at my disposal. I hope I've answered it.
Yes, absolutely. You're emphasizing that accessibility is essential for including disabled people's perspectives, right? And that neglecting it could lead to knowledge that is narrow and, I guess, often ableist. If you could change one structural feature of academia to improve accessibility, what would it be?
It will still be in the area of technology, making it more accessible, bringing in more trainers so that the visually impaired students and staff could receive training, and also educating people to know that with these technological tools, these people can function, making sure that the tools are available everywhere they should be, because sometimes it is centralized. And so you have students from different faculties and departments coming to one central place to make use of them. These appliances should be in every faculty, in every students, in every department, so that students from different fields can access them.
Mm.
I think it's a very serious need.
Yeah, that's a good one. Aside from your professional life, what other activities do you enjoy and find fulfilling in life?
Okay, I do a lot of poetry.
Mm,
I like that, which is still related to my professional life
yeah,
because I studied French and then there's literary studies. I sing a lot in the choir, and my life as a mother is a full time life. Taking care of children,
yes,
it's
yes.
a full
That's
time
very
thing.
rewarding.
Yeah,
Yeah. How many children do you have?
I have three daughters.
Oh, that's such a blessing. I have three daughters as well.
Yeah.
um, Now you're talking to me from where?
Ottawa.
Okay. How did you find the cultural shock when you moved there? And is there some cultural aspects that you miss from Nigeria?
Okay. Yes, I met a bit some cultural shock, but not as much as I thought it would be. The internet has really made the world
Mm,
a global village. So you could stay in Nigeria and read about Canada, and when you come, you know what to expect. It's not as shocking. The cultural shock was more on the weather because I came in at a time when the weather was
mm,
very harsh, the winter. So that of course changed dressing, changed even feeding patterns. Another cultural shock I've met here, which I knew I would meet, but maybe I didn't know it will be this deep, is the individualism that is found in the Western world.
mhm.
Everybody. I told you I grew up in a
Yes.
community. But also, to my greatest surprise, we still have the discrimination against persons with
Mm,
disability here. I've met with some blind people here. I've also had some experiences where people ask you questions and you're like, this is Canada. You should know
mhm,
that this has changed. Persons with
mm,
disability can function. So the education, when I say the public needs to be educated, it's not the public in Africa. It's a
mm,
general thing. Then what do I miss back home? I miss African food. I think that's it.
mm,
Canadians don't cook with a lot of
mm.
pepper. I come from a community of spicy food. I think that's the major thing I miss.
But I guess the infrastructure planning takes a lot of consideration into facilitating accessibility for people with disability in Canada, right?
Oh, yes, a lot, a lot.
Mhm.
And there's also social structure. There's public transportation for persons with disability, structured to suit their particularities. So you don't have problem of mobility as much as we have back home in Africa.
So it's different from first time you traveled. Was it to Togo? And you were disoriented and didn't know how to navigate yourself. Is that right?
No, no, it's very different. No, no. The social structure takes in transportation for persons with disability.
Mhm. And Pearl, it was such a pleasure talking to you. And I wish you all the best.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I wish you all the best too in your endeavors. Thank you for what you do, giving African women a voice to talk.
It's a pleasure.
Mm,
All right. Bye.
yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Global South Hub podcast. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Do get in touch in the Hub's social media if you have any comments. Until next time, goodbye.